So it's very simple to mess up a little bit or be a little bit confused. So I'm gonna try and make this as simple as I possibly can without any issues whatsoever. So today I'm going to be showing you how you can host your own dedicated server on the Isle, as well as be able to play all on the same machine. It's very simple once you get the hang of it. Once you set up the first time, you can do it a billion times. The first step to hosting your dedicated server is setting up your host computer, the one that's going to be hosting the server, to have a static IP. So we're going to type in here CMD. And there's, what do you know, there's command prompt. And in here, I'm going to type IP config. The main three things you're going to be wanting to looking into here, I guess, is the IPv4 address, the subnet mask, and the default gateway. Now, what we're going to want to do is we're going to go to the control panel and then go to the network and internet. So let's do that right here. We're going to go to the control panel. We're going to go to network and internet, and then we're going to go network and sharing center. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to change adapter settings. And as you can see here, depending on which one you're connected to, whether you're connecting via Ethernet or via Wi-Fi, you're going to want to right click on said thing and go properties. Then down here, you're going to want to find Internet Protocol version 4 TCP/IPv4. Then we're going to click properties on that. And as you can see here, I've already got this all set up. So in the IP address, you're going to want to copy the IPv4 address that you find here. And in the subnet mask, you're obviously going to want to copy the same, and the same for the default gateway. Then comes the DNS part, which you're going to want to use the following DNS server address, the same as what you did for use the following IP address. You cannot skip any of these steps, by the way. From the beginning of this, you cannot skip the steps. Now, I've never had the problem, but apparently some people have the issue where your internet goes out, and I don't know how that really happens. But if you see here, as long as you type in everything correctly, as well as use the following DNS server address in the same place, preferred DNS server is going to be 8888, and the alternate DNS server is 8844. That's pretty much all you need to do. Validate, and then click OK. So then once you click OK, you can pretty much just click OK here, and everything should be okay. I don't know of any issues, and I was hoping that I could, like, you know, get on a new device and troubleshoot the issue, but I don't know. Now comes the really tricky part, which is going to be port forwarding. Now, port forwarding can be a pain if you don't know what you're doing. So I'm gonna, again, try to make this as simple as possible, because this is another really key step that you have to get right. So let's start off. So we're gonna head over to where my internet thingy is, and I'm just gonna log in. If you don't know your login, just go to your thingy and do that sort of thing. So I've gone to the internet tab, and I've gone to forwarding. Now obviously your thing, your modem settings are most likely going to look different than this, but hopefully it's going to look similar. It's either under port forwarding, virtual servers, you know, just have a little look around, and, you know, if you can't find it, try and look it up on Google, I guess, how to port forward on XYZ modem. That'll help you. Anyway, so I have one set up here, but I'm going to set up a new one, a new port mapping, just so that way we have a similar idea of what we're doing here. So as you can see here, so there's the mapping name, the application, and the internal host. Again, this might look different, but hopefully you can find something that looks similar to this. So obviously I've already set up my static, so it should say, like, when you look at the different things, it'll say static, and then, you know, some weird like letters and numbers, underscore Ethernet, or in your case it may be Wi-Fi, if you're hosting via Wi-Fi. Now you want to make sure you select that device. If it's not a drop-down menu and you have to type in the IP, again, you just go to the command prompt where you select the IP address, IPv4 address. I'm pretty sure that's the computer IP address that you are going to want to enter into the internal host. Next thing you're going to want to do is add a port mapping application. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to go here and add port application. And the name of this, we can just call this the ISLE server. For me, I'm going to have to type test. Alright? You can just type in the ISLE server, but I've already got one under the ISLE server. So the external port would obviously be 7777 to 77. You could do it to 7778, but sometimes people have issues and, they have issues with it. So what you could potentially do is bring it up to 80, 7780. And then it's the same for the internal port as well, I'm pretty sure. And then you want to make sure that this is TCP/UDP. Yeah, see, I already have it to 7777 to 7780. And you want it TCP/UDP, and the external port is going to be 27015 to 27016. Same for the internal port, 27015, and then it should correct to 27016 since you previously did that. If not, just type it in yourself. Again, both TCP/UDP. That's very important. If you don't have a both option, try just doing them one by one. And also, see how I've only got one line? I can just click new, and it'll put it under the same ISLE hosting. And so now I have two of these, and so that's how I would type it. After you've done that, I want to click save. I don't think this is too important because I think this is for like thing that we don't have anymore. Anyway, just click save on that. There we go. So now you'll see it there, and then now we can use this here. There we go. The ISLE server test, and we're just going to call this the ISLE server test run. This is just for me. So again, once you make sure you have your IP in this box, you click save on that. Always make sure to click save. And there we go. This should presumably be done. This is on the machine that I'm currently on right now. So now we can move on to the next step. Alright, so I'll have a link in the description to SteamCMD in case you don't have it. But it's also in the guide as well. It's in the link in the guide here. You can download it from there. So once you have downloaded SteamCMD, you're going to extract the zip file to somewhere easy to find. So where I have it is just in the local disk, but you can just put it anywhere really, to be honest. But it's easier to just find everything all in just one place. So the first thing you're going to want to do before you do anything, whenever you're doing anything here, you're going to want to type in login anonymous, like that. Make sure you spell it correctly. And it'll say connecting anonymously to Steam public, logged in OK, waiting for Steam user info, OK. So before we continue on here, we're going to need to create another folder in our local disk C, for example. And I'm going to call this one the ISLE server. I'm just going to call it the ISLE server test, actually. So now we have that there. If I refresh it, it's going to move up to there. Nothing in the folder, right? From here, we're going to type in, with the caps, force install dir, and then a space. So what you do from here is you go to the ISLE server test, or whatever your server is called. You go into that folder, you click up in this address box here, and then you Control-C, and that'll copy it. Or you can just click this and copy it as well. It doesn't matter how you do it. As long as it's copied, you Control-V, and then click Enter. Voila. It'll seem like nothing happened, but that's very key because that's now selected that folder. Essentially, it's selected that folder so that whatever you type next, it'll install into that or do whatever you're doing in there. So now, as you can see here, it says now you can type in app update and then this is the ID of the actual of the IL server, I guess, and that'll just install all the files necessary. You can just copy and paste this from the guide and then click enter. Now it'll go through a procedure which is called installing the server, and that's pretty much technically all you really need to do. So I'm gonna just skip ahead until this is done, and then from here we'll move on to the next step. Alright, now as you can see it says success, app 412680 fully installed. So, and you'll also see that there's all these files here, right? So you should see like that and this and, you know, all this fun stuff. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna type quit into this, and that'll quit it out properly. Never click the X button unless necessary. So you'll probably notice there's no like saved or anything when I click on the R, right? And this will probably be the same for you. So what you're going to want to do is just double click the rserver.exe, and then wait a minute. It'll say do this, just allow the access. Right, so now we have the saved thing, which is super important, and now we have config. You won't see databases yet because we haven't like properly started the server and gotten players in. You will see though the game.ini. So at first the game.ini is gonna be empty. So at first apparently the game.ini is gonna be empty. So we're just gonna copy some baseline things into our thingy from the guide. Guide will be linked below in case you're not coming from the guide yourself. And then we're just gonna title the server My Amazing Server. You can title it however you want. Your name for it will go there. I think family sharing is invalid at this point, so it does not matter at all. So that's probably just gonna remove itself. Global chat, you got your name tags, you got your experimental, which I don't think this really matters at all. Server AI, this will not work either. A lot of these just don't work at the moment. You can change if growth is on or off. The server fall damage, the respawn time, the logout time. The respawn time will also be the growth time, like in terms of like when you can click grow. You can put your server Discord in there. You just need like the last digits, I think, of the link, and server admins, you just need their Steam ID in there. And the banned users thing is also not too important, and neither is anything to do with progression. If that ever pops up, progression, not important. It's gone. It's out the window now. Just not important. Yeah, there it is. Progression overrides. Doesn't matter, but it still needs to be there, I guess, question mark. Probably not, but I keep it there anyway, just in case. We're going to save that. And yeah, obviously, you can just click save. Or Control S. That's also a save. And then you just can pretty much just close out of this at this point. Now, for the final step for, you know, setting up your server, which as you can see here, we're going to need to go back to our control panel. But I've also found out there's another simpler way that you can do this. Anywhere you like, you can start from this PC. You can just do this anywhere as in a file explorer. You go view, and then you can tick file name extension. So see how I've got game.ini? If I uncheck this, you'll see everything will just be like game, engine, compact, etc. So if you go view, file name extensions, this is on Windows 10, I don't know if it's similar to Windows 7, and then look, all of that pops up. But if you also want to go the route of the control panel, you go here. You can also just type file extension, and it'll probably pop up. File Explorer options, show or hide file extensions. So here, as you can see, these are hidden. So what I'm going to go and do is where it says hide extensions for known file types, I click that, the check is gone, I click apply, they come back. And then that's it. So that's how you do it through that way. Now, you're probably wondering, how am I going to start my server exactly? Well, you could use this and go into the properties, and then in the wherever it is, actually I don't think it's in there, you have to like create a shortcut of this, and then like type in, like go into properties of that, and then type in like a weird long string of like a command line thingy, but more simpler way that I'm just gonna do. So what I'm gonna do here is I already have a few of these set up for my servers. These two I use mainly, which is the no crashes one, which quote unquote no crashes, it just restarts when 60 seconds after a crash, but you'll see what happens. So we're gonna go text, we're gonna create a new text document, and you can call this pretty much whatever you want. But just so anyone you may want to help start the server, just call it server start and then your server's name. So my amazing server, no crashes, because that's what we're going to do. And see how it says .text at the end now? We're going to change that .text to .bat. And this is a batch file. And what the batch file is going to do is it's going to launch the server. So we're going to say, yes, I do want to change it. Now, originally you could just open the text file before changing it, but anyway, we can open this with our notepad/text editing tool. So as you can see here, this one is empty because we just created it, right? So if you go from the guide, you can just copy all of this, and I'll explain the basis of what it's going to do. I don't know what echo is. It's probably something important. We'll keep that there. Don't know what that does. Echo, this is going to say in the little command prompt, like this one here, as you can see, this is one of my servers. It says protecting the IL server from crashes, ... And then it'll say, it'll get the time, and then it'll say checking for updates. And that's what this part here does over here. Now you see there's a colon the IL here, just randomly placed here. Well, once we go to the bottom here, it says go to IL after the timeout. So if the server was ever to crash, or you just close the server by accident or something like that, it'll automatically go from timeout to T60 seconds. You can change this if you do so wish to 10, 30, whatever time you want it to start back up. You can even change it to 1 second. I don't know what it'll do, whether it'll be useful for it, but it's a thing you can change. That's one of the many things you can change. Then it says go to IL, and then it's just going to come back up here and just repeat the process, check for updates if there's any updates, otherwise it'll start, it'll say IL server started, then it'll bring this up. So that's pretty much what it does, right? And the only thing that you necessarily need to change here is where it's coming from. So the IL service, so see the IL server, the IL server.exe. The only part we need to change here is this. So mine, if we remember correctly, is under the IL server test folder, and there are no spaces. So what I'm going to do is just add test. You're also essentially going to want to make sure that you change it where it says the +force_install_dir, and then, where the folder is. That's kind of an important step that I forgot to mention but in here, but you'll need to change that as well. So in my case, it would be force install the IL server test. You get the idea, what we did before. To it. And then that'll simply do, that's it. That's all I need to do, right? And then the map, as you can see here, we have all the different maps listed here that are currently in the game. This is pre-recode. Recode is close, but it's not here yet. So we just have Landscape v3, we've got the developer test level, and we have Thenyor Island, which is a smaller map. Test level is, the test level, the smallest of all the maps, and then v3 is obviously the biggest map we have currently. So, just for the sake of it, let's say we want to run on Thenyor Island. We can just copy that, and then, wait, if we go like this, and then paste it into there, you'll notice it'll put an enter by accident. So you just backspace that and make sure you didn't delete anything. So then, you know, make sure you have all the question marks and stuff. And then multi-home, you can try removing this. I might try it in this. We'll see what happens. So you just basically put your public IP. So to find your public IP, you just simply type in what's my IP, and then you click enter. I'll show you, but I'm not going to show it, so remember to block this out. What's my IP? Apparently I don't know how to spell what correctly. And then it'll show you your public IP address. You copy that, and then you paste it into here. All of this needs to be on one line because it's all a part of the same command, right? So there we go. And then the port, remember, this is the important part. So the ports, generally I usually keep them the same, but sometimes you can run into issues. So for this I'm going to change them. So 7781, and I'm going to have so for the normal port 7781. For the query port, I'm gonna have it 7782. That way there is no issues. Max players, we can choose how many players we want, and then whether we want it survival or we can change it to sandbox. Those are the two game modes that I'm aware of that exist. I think they should be the only game modes that exist. So make sure you've spelt everything correctly. Then it's the -log and the set/p equals. And then that's it. We save that, and we're pretty much ready to go. Then I'm going to close this, and then we're done. We're pretty much done. So the rest of the stuff is like stuff that I've had in the past, where it's like, hey, these are all the carnivores, herbivores, factions, etc. That you can use if you do so wish to use that. So now, for the ultimate test, we don't need to be in this folder anymore. We can just close this. For the ultimate test, you double click the .bat file and you can see it working, hopefully perfectly. It's up to date, so it's going to go straight into Thenya Island. It's going to say all this stuff, and there we go, waiting to start to in progress. That means it's up. Two ways you can check if your server's running. You can go to your Steam library here, and then you can go to view, then go to servers, then refresh all. Make sure you do that, and make sure the filters are on the aisle. To do that, you go to the game, then you just go aisle, and then you can just undo that. So it doesn't seem to be showing in that list. If it's in here, then we should be good to go. But considering we're not seeing it in the Steam server list, it's likely, yeah. So something went wrong here, because now the game is telling me Steam subsystem failure. The game failed to properly connect to the setup. Steam online subsystem. Please ensure Steam is running and try restarting your computer. So I'm going to quit out of this now, except I can't. So I'm just going to have to ignore and then quit. Oh! I've got it. I know what it is. Remember when we previously started up our aisle? Remember when we previously started up our server? We had double-clicked the exe file. That never closed down properly. We are gonna have to find where it is in here. It's one of these. I just hope I get the right one. We're gonna do that one. So if you see it in there, or if you're having that issue starting up the aisle, make sure that UE4 game and the aisle, with both of the aisle logos, are not in there, and then your game starts up properly. Troubleshooting. Love it. So I haven't started the server yet, and that's why the server wasn't popping up originally. As you can see here, look, my amazing server, I changed it from awesome to amazing because I pretty much reinstalled the entire thing, and basically all I did was I just copied the same stuff from before, except so instead of creating this folder itself, and instead of calling it test, I called it the ISLE server 2. Then when I, and instead of doing that, I went into SteamCMD, just typed in the same stuff that I did before, and then it created this for me. And then what I did from there, I started this exe up, then I waited a couple of seconds, then I went into the task manager, I scrolled down until I found that, that ISLE exe thing we saw before, exited that, ended the process, went into the ISLE, I went into saved, I went into config, I went into here, I went into game.ini, then I went into edit it, and then I put the following in here, which should be pretty much from what we found in the other one. I don't know what was done differently, I just basically reinstalled the thing, and now it's showing up here. I also changed it to make sure that it's DV test level, and multi-home is back in it as well. So as you can see, if I confirm this here, it's on ports 777, 777, like 7777 to 7777. Obviously, if I go in here, so it's in survival, which is interesting. I did keep it to survival. So I wonder if it makes a difference, instead of just only app update, and then the numbers, I did that plus like the dash beta development, despite the fact that that doesn't work, or you can't go into development branch. I did that as well, just in case something was different there. Now I'm gonna, so it popped up again, and as you can see, it's sandbox now. I'm not an admin because I didn't change it to make me admin, which is probably something that I should have done, but hey, it's fine. Pretty much everything is working. Everything is working. As you can see, my ping is here. I literally just, it's there, like you can see it. I don't know what I did to fix it. You can take my word for it that if the first time installing it doesn't work, like you go through it all and set it up, delete the folder that you find in here, and then just, instead of creating this folder, let SteamCMD create it by just force installing to that directory, and presumably it should work. You do that, I told you how to do the rest of that. I hope that that has helped you to some capacity. Look, it's all working, it's there. I don't know what I really did differently, but that's pretty much the entire thing. Like if I refresh it, it'll pop up, it'll keep popping up. I'm not sure if it's the development thingy that did it, or if it's like, you can test it out for yourself, I guess, because yeah, fun stuff. Anyway, that's gonna be all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this helps you to some capacity. That's how you create a dedicated server in the ISLE. Hope that helped, and I'll see you later. Bye.